Welcome back to the 4A Baseball Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. It is time, the thing we've been hinting at our entirety of this podcast, our next season predictions, is our final episode before our first regular season episode. We cap off the off-season stay was the best episode of all. Throw all the other ones behind for a second. We got awards predictions and playoff predictions. What's going to happen in 2023? How are we doing today, boys?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about this because we're going to be referring to this episode quite a bit this season, laughing at each other's predictions or, backing it up. This is a big episode for us. These are our predictions. There's going to be some hot takes here, but I think it's going to be fun to talk about. Steps, how are you doing?
I know Tom's opinions are going to be wrong. I'm just excited to talk about them.
Fair enough. So the way we're going to format this is we're going to go awards like least important to most valuable, wink, because we're going to most valuable player list. And then we'll talk about our playoff predictions and we'll break it down piece by piece. So we're going to kick it off with American League reliever of the year. We know who Tom's is.
The best reliever in probably the entire game of baseball. It's Emmanuel Clase. And I mean, there's not much that has to be said about this. This guy's got the stuff. He's got the stats to back it up, and he really hasn't shown any signs of weakness in his time in the pros. There's been no, worry for him. And he's on a good team that, is going to rely on him pretty heavily this season. So I think he's going to be a guy that's going to rack up saves while also being one of the best, most effective closers in baseball.
Steve, where are you at?
I am exactly on Tom's page. Emmanuel Clase is an extremely good closer. I don't really know who else you'd pick over the top of him. Well, I do know, but I think you have to go with him. I don't think there's really any argument that he's not going to be the best reliever in the American League.
Enter Brad.
Enter Brad. I think Emmanuel Clase is great. He's very, very good. The thing that I kind of value of a reliever is not having to completely rely on your defense, which Clase does to some degree. He's insane at restricting hard contact. Like, it's very difficult to hit 102 mile an hour cutter hard. You know who's better than that? Felix Bautista. With 3 pitches with 140 stuff plus. The mountain among men. Like, the dude's literal nickname is a mountain, which is fair. He's insanely tall. Like, you know how Sandy lasts long? He lasts tall. He's 6'8", 285. He's just a thick boy, and it's impossible to hit off of
it. I honestly think he's in that conversation for best reliever in the AL, but I think I put a guy like Andres Munoz over Bautista as well, just in terms of stuff plus too. I think does Bautista have the edge on stuff plus?
Yes.
But Munoz has a better I think he has a better resume coming into the season. Bautista is going to have to, prove a lot to, repeat his season. He's only pitched one season.
So has Munoz.
But Munoz was better.
No, he wasn't.
I think he was better. I mean, the under the hood stats for Munoz are absurd.
Same for Bautista.
I mean, no, I like that. I really like that pick, Brad. Like, if the Orioles want to play well, then Bautista needs to come out and show up. And I think he definitely can. He has the ability to.
Munoz ranks 10th. Bautista 2nd in stuff plus.
I'm trying to look.
Who's
who
one?
else?
Is it
who else could be in that conversation?
Is it Clase?
No, Clase is. Let me pull up the document again.
I mean,
no, relievers are crazy. Clase ranks. Oh yeah, Clase ranks 1.
Yeah,
it's solely on the cutter and slider.
That really is the case, but I think Bautista going forward will be, one of the best. He'll cement himself next season. I mean, obviously, already having a great first season, but being a guy that's reliable year after year.
I feel like also like the emotion of playing for a team like striving to make the playoffs. Like the Guardians feel like a playoff team already. The Orioles feel like they're trying to get there this year.
I mean, yeah, they definitely have to earn it. I mean, we talked about it in the episode. They're going to be fighting against the Twins and the White Sox. So, I mean, there's some drive there.
I'm looking at everyone else. I mean, outside of those two, where would you go next outside of those two?
Munoz
would be up there. I'd look at like Paul Sewald.
Jason Adams.
I like that pick.
Paul Sewald. I'd look at John Schreiber of the Boston Red Sox.
Joan Duran.
I was going to say Joan Duran
would be up there. No, there's definitely a lot of high quality talent there. I think
you think about Kenley Jansen coming up and winning the American League Reliever of the Year, Brad.
I could easily see that.
Okay.
He was
I- I-
fantastic last year.
Yeah, he's definitely in a park that's not going to benefit him that much from,
Yeah.
the balls in play, but he is a soft contact guy, so maybe he does keep the ball in the yard. I don't know. There's a
Uh,
lot of talent in this league.
I mean, same with the National League because you could go with a
Yeah.
lot of people here. You could go with like the Cy Young among National League relievers and Josh Hader. You can't really go with Edwin Diaz, so sorry if you guys picked that before his knee blew out. I went with Evan Phillips of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
This guy.
He's the prime example of the sweeper revolution. He had 4 pitches with negative run value last year, and he's among one of the most elite relievers and just most unhittable relievers in baseball. Because you don't know which way or which speed the ball is going at. You can't sit on any pitch.
Yeah. He looks like a mailman, but
Car salesman.
adds to the deception of his fastball and all of his other pitches actually. Stebbs, who'd you have?
So I was debating between the Brewers' current closer in Devin Williams and their former closer, who is now a Padre, and Josh Hader. But I think Josh Hader is going to, now that he's kind of settled in San Diego, I think he's going to have himself quite a year this year. And if the Padres don't extend him, which I could see going either way, in all honesty, he's going to earn himself a big payday this upcoming offseason.
I mean, I'm right there with Stebbs, but I didn't pick Josh Hader. I picked Devin Williams. There is definitely room to grow for this guy. I mean, he's been very effective since he's come in the league, but obviously the walk concern, the control issue is his biggest thing. He's got the stuff. He's got the pitch repertoire. He's insane. But that walk percentage is pretty bad. I mean, it's not pretty bad. It's a red flag for him. But if he can cut that down, he's definitely in that top 3 conversation. And I think if he cuts it down, he will be the best.
I think the issue with trying to predict like reliever of the year is it could literally be anyone. The other guy I was kind of like leaning towards is Ryan Helsley of the St. Louis
Yeah.
Cardinals. I really liked him as someone to go with. Obviously, Edwin Diaz, but his knee doesn't exist anymore. He needs some help. Sorry. There's a lot of good options in the National League.
Yeah.
Hader, Williams, just pitching is very good right now.
Which is
Yeah,
at an all-time high, I want to say.
Definitely.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
definitely. Yeah, it's only getting better.
All right. Time to start with some of the more controversial ones.
Some real
So-
awards.
I believe Rookie of the Year is next, right? I'd like to start all of us saying our number 3, then number 2, and then our eventual winner. You guys game for that?
I'm game for that.
I'm good with that. Can I interject real quick? Because I had an honorable mention for AL Rookie of the Year.
Go for it.
Okay.
I wanted to throw in Grayson Rodriguez. I wanted to have him in, but then I forgot there was a guy that is technically a rookie, even though he is like 20, how old is he? 20,
28.
28, 29,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. I was gonna say 29, but I forgot he was technically a rookie until Aiden, ever so lovely, he brought that up to my attention. I was like, that's a fair point. So yeah, I want to say I think Grayson Rodriguez is gonna have a very, very good year, and I'm excited to watch him play, but he just falls out of my top 3.
Fair enough. So do you want to say who your
Do
number
you-
3 is?
I'll segue into that. Okay, so I went with Logan O'Hoppe. I think he is going to have a very, very, very good year with the Los Angeles Angels. We just talked about him the other day. And I think he's the real deal. I really think he is. And I think he's going to help aid in the depth piece of what the Los Angeles Angels are trying to build, assuming they can hold on to Shohei Ohtani.
I'm right there with you, Stebbs. I'm right there with you, Stebbs. That's a great pick. Logan O'Hoppe, number 3 for my AL Rookie of the Year pick. I'm right there with you. I mean, he's not going to be like a crazy guy, but he's going to be an everyday guy who's going to provide, some pretty average at bats with some pretty average defense. But that's going to stack up over time. Brad, I'm assuming you're not on the same page. You're not a Logan O'Hoppe enthusiast.
I'm not Logan O'Hoppe enthusiast. And number 3, I had Masataka Yoshida. You guys love him.
Ooh.
I mean, there's a ton. Okay, here's the thing. In a year where there wasn't many good rookies, I could see having like an egregious reaction to that. But there's a ton of good rookies across the American League. Like, it could reasonably go to anyone.
Yeah,
So,
I'm just.
I will not be
yeah.
taking criticism.
I will criticize. Okay, Stebbs, who's your number 2?
Hold on, I'm writing. Okay. So this was my number 1 before the guy Brad just mentioned, but I went with Gunnar Henderson.
I love this guy.
I love Gunnar Henderson. I really want him to win it. But when you have a guy that's basically pro ready coming into the league, And as Tom would so lovely like to point out that he's a top 10 left fielder. He's not quite yet, but I can definitely see it by midseason. And I think he's going to come out and prove it. So I basically just told you my 2 and 1. My 2 is Gunnar Henderson. He's going to have an amazing year. My 1 is Masataka Yoshida.
I'm the exact same as Stats. This is great. I mean, I would have had Gunnar at 1 probably had Masataka Yoshida not been in the league now and considered a rookie. But I mean, this guy is going to hit like 290 with probably like 25 doubles and like 20 home runs. He's going to be good. I think there's without a doubt in my mind. And he was
Which one are
electric
we
in the World
talking
Baseball.
about?
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. This is Masataka Yoshida. This is me defending because we all know Gunnar Henderson's going to be 2 or 1. But it's just talking about Yoshida and how he already has a guaranteed hit tool. And I really do think that's going to work out for him in the pros.
I like Yoshida. I think he's very good. I think some of the narrative is going to be behind whether the Red Sox are good or not.
That's fair.
And I don't think the Red Sox are going to be very good, which is consistent with everything I've said this offseason. A team that I think is going to be really good. And actually, Stebbs and I just talked about need their pitching to really show up. I have Hunter Brown at number 2. We said on our episode, if you haven't gone to listen to that prediction, you can go hop back. It came out yesterday on Tuesday. We said that the pitching is the most questionable for the Houston Astros it's been in a very long time. And if this team has any fallacy, it's specifically that. And it opens the door for Hunter Brown to step up and be a guy. And I think he will be. I think the only thing that may hold him back is walks. And then number 1,
Yeah.
Gunnar Henderson.
I like the Hunter Brown pick. He was probably 5. I think Grayson Rodriguez is going to have a bit of a better season, but if you want to bring up the fact that the Orioles will probably be worse than the Astros, well, not probably, definitely be worse than the Astros, then yeah, I can see the reasoning for having Hunter Brown a little bit higher than him.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
so
was sorry. I was just gonna say I had
Yeah,
like
okay.
Grayson Rodriguez at 4.
yeah, I would have had Hunter Brown. I would have had Hunter Brown at 5 and Grayson at 4. But
God, I hate this kid.
this guy. I mean, so a lot of rookies. I mean, rookie of the year isn't like MVP in the sense that like MVP is like your most valuable. You usually put a better guy like on a better team on that list. But I really don't think it's as big of a factor. Especially for rookie of the year.
I mean, so I'm trying to think back. Like last year, it was J-Rod or it was Adley.
And
Was
there might
Riley
have been-
Green in that conversation? Was he
no, he
3?
was out for
No,
30
no.
games.
Okay.
I feel like, I don't know. I need to go back and look at their stats.
Are
But
we
like,
sleeping on Riley Green for this season? All of
I'm not
us?
sleeping-
in
I'm
our
not
rookie of
sleeping
the
on
years?
I think he was is he technically a rookie?
He's a rookie.
He's still a rookie?
I believe so.
I do not believe I
do not
realized
think
that.
I don't think that's hold on.
I think
I
the
did not believe
benchmarks.
that was accurate.
Gunnar Henderson was literally like 1 at bat short or something like that.
Really?
Riley Green definitely went over. That's my bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how
Wait.
much he played last year.
That's what I'm saying. He
Yeah.
was pretty good. I think he's got some serious ability to get the ball to all parts of the field. But I mean, if he was in this year, I still don't think I would have him in the
Yeah,
top 5 or
I mean,
top 3.
I'd say he might fall at 5, but that's about as high as I could put him. Tom, kick us off with 3rd for NL Rookie of the Year.
This might be a surprise because I think a lot of people are pretty high on this guy, but I got Corbin Carroll of the Arizona Diamondbacks at number 3. I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I'm not too high on him. I mean, he strikes out a ton. I'm a little worried about that. I'm worried about his hit tool not really translating to the pros as much as his glove and speed on the bases.
Mhm.
Obviously, if he can hit, he's probably going to be a 5-tool guy. But I'm just waiting to see it happen.
I'd be more concerned about his power more than his hit tool as it is. I think he'll make contact, but if it's just weak, soft contact, like the speed will play. But if it's soft contact, you're not going to be able to take advantage of his ability to stretch doubles into triples, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see those concerns. I disagree with those concerns. But I actually want to switch these two because he was just announced to be on the opening
This
day
guy.
roster. So at 3, I'm gonna go with Ezekiel Tovar.
That's not bad. That's not a bad one, but
No, don't
I
say
just
it.
was not expecting him. That's why I got such
yeah.
a whiplash.
Yeah, no. I really like Ezekiel Tovar, and I think he's gonna be the one bright spot on a very, very Rockies lineup. And I think it's going to be a combination of him and Chris Bryant are really going to be the only two things that keep Colorado afloat this year, and a lot of attention is going to get drawn to it.
Hey, Stavs.
Yeah.
I agree. I have him in third.
No, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Colorado because I find it so difficult to properly evaluate someone that plays in Colorado that I think he's going to be pretty good. I think the defense should translate. It's just what else? Like, is he going to be
That's
that good, or is he going to be like a two-war player? And that doesn't, as we've seen last year, that doesn't play in rookie of the league, rookie of the year recently.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely nice to be out in cores, especially as a good fielder. You know, that makes you look more complete. I like him. He'd probably be my 4 guy, but 2 and 1 are just a lot higher for me. That's a good segue into my number 2, who's probably not on you guys' list. It's Kodai Senga of the New York Mets. I love his pitch repertoire, and I really think he will be good this season. I mean, there's a lot of
Ghost
pressure.
work.
Yeah, pitching in New York is definitely scary, but I think he can handle the heat. I think he's got it. Steves, are you on the same
Uh,
page as me? Or no?
No, not at all. As I kind of half mentioned, this guy just got announced to be on their opening day roster. Jordan Walker. I was really high on him going into the trade deadline of last season when the Nats were possibly going to get him. And then they did not, which is fine, you know,
Saved his
stuff
career.
happens. Definitely did. I can't argue with that logic, but he's gonna come out. He had an amazing spring. He's gonna come out and he have an even better regular season. I don't really think you can disagree with that. I think Tom's gonna disagree with that. But we'll
I'm gonna
find out
disagree with
shortly.
that. I'm gonna disagree with that.
Uh,
Brad, what
you
do you
can
got?
disagree. Oh, you know, I was gonna say, if you want to go disagree with that first, you can.
No, because it segues into the next part.
Okay.
Just go ahead.
Well, at my number 2, I had Corbin Carroll. Defense is fine. I just think he's going to be good. I think he'll be very solid. It's just I don't think I think the person who I have winning this might finish top 10 in MVP voting this year. I think
And that,
his
yeah.
hit tool is so fantastic. He's going to have a lot of games at DH, but what's his name, Tom?
Jordan Walker, baby. Number 1 NL Rookie of the Year voting. He's got all the tools. He can hit for power. He's got a crazy cannon for an arm. I mean, he's a very good player, and he's still 20. He's still 20. So
Yeah, he's
he's
almost 21.
I
I think
mean,
he's the
this is
first 20-year-old to play for the Cardinals since like 1981.
yeah, I mean, this is a once in a generation type of guy. I believe in terms of raw power. I really think he's going to be a guy that's going to go out there and hit 30 plus home runs, if not more. He might reach that, like Pete Alonso rookie season numbers. I'm not saying he's going to hit 50 something home runs, but he's got that potential.
I could definitely see that in his career, though.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, later down the line, for sure. He's still so young.
Like of the
Uh,
rookies on here, I think, well, Stez, you're number 1.
yeah, my number 1, I went with Corbin Carroll. I do agree that Jordan Walker may have a overall, I'm not gonna say like by that much, but a overall better season top to bottom. But I think the effect is gonna be how they play, right? Because no, don't do that. Because the Cardinals are already supposed to be a projected favorite, right? They're already projected to win the division and all that, right? So if Arizona comes out and is even like somewhat competitive around, and Corbin Carroll is the main focal point of that, then it's going to translate to his rookie of the year votes as well. Like if they are better than Giants and if they are even somewhat competitive in the division or the wild card spot, Corbin Carroll is going to win it.
I disagree just because I feel like the Cardinals are going to have Cardinals have an offensive, like they have it down, and there's going to be guys on base. And I know this isn't weighted as much as other stats, especially now in this day and age, but he has so much RBI opportunity, Jordan Walker, compared to Corbin Carroll and the Arizona Diamondbacks offense. There's going to be runners on base for Jordan Walker to hit in. Not going to be a big factor, but I think he might be a guy who breaks the 100 RBI mark next season, which is just going to add to his resume.
I mean, I think both are viable picks. I think of the people we've mentioned for rookie of the year on both National League and American League, I think Walker, maybe Carroll, and Henderson, maybe outside chance of Yoshida are the ones that can like compete for MVP in their career. Obviously, some people could surprise us, but if we're talking actual like MVP candidates in their career, These
I
are the
could
people I
see
see.
Yoshida. I could definitely see
Yeah, I
Yoshida.
mean, if
I'm
Yoshida can
definitely
have like
seeing
a,
Carroll,
yeah.
Walker. I definitely see Henderson as well. And yeah, I mean, I definitely see all four of those. And then like as far as pitching wise goes, I mean, I think pretty much all the people we've talked about we could see within conversation of at least a Cy Young.
Maybe.
Is that what's next?
Speaking of Cy Young,
Speaking of, that was what I was
Ah,
gonna
this is
say,
that
yeah.
was really good transition steps. Good job.
welcome.
I am now realizing I just closed my. No, I'm just on my playoffs. Okay, here we are. All right, do you guys want to start with American League or National League?
Let's go AL, because we've started AL for everything so far, I think.
Yeah,
Let's go AL. And Stevs, you want to lead us off with number 5? You want to do 5-1, right? Go
yeah,
5
5
and
and
I have a
4.
1.
Yeah, yeah.
problem.
What?
I have
Brad
6
has
for both Cy Young
Brad
and
has
MVP.
5A and 5B.
Oh my gosh.
There's just so much good pitching
You
that
should
I
have told me
couldn't.
I was gonna add another person on this list. Okay, that's fine. I can improvise. I'm like that. Okay,
I
Steph, go
can.
ahead.
Do we want to do 6? Because I could probably
Ooh,
improvise a quick 6 person. Because I already know who 6 would be on here.
I mean, do you want to?
You
Yeah,
want
let's
to,
do
Steph?
it. So Garrett Cole would be my 6th for AL Cy Young. I think he's going to be the one staple of the Yankees pitching rotation that has already been ravaged by injury so far through spring. I think he's gonna come out and he's gonna do a lot of things well, and kind of prove that he is the ace no matter who comes into that organization.
My number 6. Oh my gosh, I don't know who to do. Okay, my number 6 is gonna be Jacob deGrom, because I feel like, I don't know. I want him to be higher, but I feel like 6 is gonna be Jacob deGrom, because I feel like he's going to pitch roughly 115 innings of, insane Hall of Fame innings quality. It's just not going to be enough to get him in that Cy Young conversation, just because he doesn't have that bulk yet. But I think there's a possibility. There's a world where Jacob deGrom does reach 170 innings and he does win the Cy Young. Because if he does reach that 170 innings, he's going to win. It's just a matter of him being healthy. But I think I'm going to put him at number 6 just to be safe.
I don't think he's going to be healthy, so you will not see him in my top 6. My number 6 is a guy that Tom really, really likes. It's just I think he will not be able to progress given the White Sox defense and his incredibly high walk rates of Dylan Cease. The stuff is there. He's filthy. He generates a ton of whiffs. There's a lot of value there. It's just you can't walk, 3 batters every 9 innings and expect to see constant success. I think that holds him back ultimately.
That's where you at. Wait, did you already give yours? Oh, you already
Yeah.
gave yours. You're
Yeah, I
Garrett
already
Cole.
gave me. I was the
Bring us
first
into
one.
the
Yeah.
bring us into the top 5 then.
Man, okay, so this is where I had Alek Manoah. I think he's gonna have a really good year for the Blue Jays this year and kind of take that, I guess, another step forward. He's going to be the driving factor for what makes the Blue Jays run well from top to bottom, and I think because now a little spoiler ahead. Now I've shifted and switched slightly because originally I had the Yankees winning the division. Now I have the Blue Jays winning the division, and he's a main driving factor as to why.
So my number 5 is Dylan Cease. I probably should have transitioned from Brad, but he's what Brad said pretty much. He's going to be a guy that's going to struggle with the walk. He's going to, limit everything else while pitching at an elite level. It's just the walks are going to hold him back just a little bit. I still think he's going to be in that top 5 conversation. There's a world where he like Jacob deGrom has improvements on the walk percentage and does pull away with this thing, because he nearly won it last year.
Did. And we're on the topic of possible Cy Youngs, obviously. I'm talking about a guy who has won one. I have Shane Bieber at number 5. The stuff is still ridiculous. He generates a ton of strikeouts, and the velo's gone. And he can still pitch tremendously. He threw 200 innings last year for the Guardians. He was incredibly good in the postseason. I think if the Guardians are to repeat as division winners, and spoiler alert, I have them doing that. I think we all do.
Yeah.
You need Shane Bieber at the helm.
I like that pick, because that's not a safe pick, because I mean he's a guy who threw 200 innings last year, but he wasn't a guy that like was in that conversation of Cy Young. But I really do think that he's going to. I don't know what's going on with this velocity. I don't know what really happened there. But I mean, 200 innings is 200 innings, man. If you can build upon that,
I mean, he finished 7th last year.
yes. I mean, that's still a very good season from him.
Yeah. And I'd like to go to my number 4 because
Okay.
I hinted at this in our Astros Mariners episode. And this will be my hot take of the American League Cy Young race. I have the rebounding, rediscovered his deceptiveness, a incredibly difficult release point of Robbie Ray. It is filthy when he is on, and he has been unhittable in spring training because the release point's back. The deception is back on his fastball, and the slider has more sweep than it's ever had before, and I think it plays.
Tom?
I mean, it's not a safe pick, but it's a good pick. I mean, like I would have rather picked Luis Castillo to be their Cy Young, just because I've seen him. You know, he's got the stuff.
They both
I
do.
mean, they both do have the stuff. You know, I like the pick. I like the pick considering what he's doing in spring training. Whether he can keep that up for a full season and not get kind of
Shelled.
destroyed like he did last year. Yeah. That's a big one there. But I do like the spiciness of that take, because if it ages well, it will look very good on your part.
That would have been a great segue into my number 4, except for he's not my number 4. Jacob deGrom's my number 4.
What? What a great segue, Stabs. Okay, go back.
No, it was Jacob deGrom's my number 4. I'm gonna assume he is what, Tom, you said 118 innings?
I said 100 like 15. If he can pitch
Yeah.
like 170 or
So
something.
I have him probably a little like getting to that, what did we say, 130 when we talked about them the other day. I have him getting into that. So it's enough innings where it'll get him a little higher than Tom had him, but I don't think it's enough innings to get him into that top 3 conversation.
Nice.
Are we at number 4 or 3?
You
Am I
are.
in 3?
You're on 4.
I'm at 4?
You're
Yeah.
on 4.
At my number 4 spot, I have Kevin Gausman. This is a little bit of an interesting pick, but I really do like what he has. And now that the Blue Jays have built a defense around him, you know, he's kind of a pitch to contact type of guy. He's not going to really, actually, he does have extremely high K numbers too. But you know, when these balls are being put in play, they will now be caught instead of, you know, bobbled, dropped. The BABIP will go down, and with that, all of his stats are going to go back up. And with a guy that strikes out already a ton of batters, has a low FIP, he's going to be one of the best in the league next year. And I don't think it's I like this pick. It's a safe pick. Kevin Gausman, former Giant, baby. I love him. No bias.
I definitely think there's a little bit of bias there. I don't hate the pick. I mean, it's not the worst one in the world. It's just not the best one in the world. Now here's the great segue. Luis Castillo is my number 3. He had a down season again, like we talked about the other day, in 2021. And he had a kind of an up year last year, right? And I think he's going to continue that ascension all the way up into top 3 Cy Young contention, especially now that he's on the Mariners he'll be on the Mariners for a full season. He's locked in for the next couple seasons with that extension he signed last year. I think he's gonna have a great season. I think he's gonna be a top 3 Cy Young candidate.
I mean, my number 3 is a guy that I'm not sure if he's going to meet the threshold of innings pitched, because he's a guy that plays both sides of the ball. It's Shohei at number 3. I'm a little bit worried about his innings pitched. I'm not sure if he's going to deal with an injury like he did in his first season, but if he pitches any way that he did last season, he will be top 3 in Cy Young. It's bizarre that he is considered one of the best pitchers in baseball while also being one of the best hitters in baseball. But I mean, that's just him. That's just Shohei. I think he's going to be top 3.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom. Me too.
Yeah.
I think he will be the best pitcher in the American League. I don't think he'll have the innings to win the award.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm telling you, man.
I think there's very few things that are undeniable in this world, and one of them is you will get out against Shohei Ohtani. I think he only grows, and it's a walk year. If we want to talk about extra motivation, because you know that guy really needs extra motivation to be the best player in the world. It's a walk year.
He seems to like the moment, you know, in the World Baseball Classic, he kind of revved up a little bit. I think, yeah. That's a great pick, Brad. I
you
love
too,
that
man.
pick. Yeah. Okay.
That's a great job, Stas. What about you?
I cannot agree with that for a little bit because I have Christian Javier coming in at 2. Again, we've talked about him a bunch. Christian Javier kind of has to come out and be at least the Cy Young for the Houston Astros. And if he can be, he's going to be the head of whatever monster they're building in that starting rotation. And he's going to come out and he's going to perform at a high level, right? We talked about it the other day. He is the main piece for this Astros organization right now, at least in the starting side of, or in the starting pitching side of the ball. He has to perform well, and I think he will. And I think he'll step up to the occasion, especially since he just got that extension.
I thought this would be more of a eyebrow raiser, but I guess Christian Javier at 2 is a common theme because I have Christian Javier at 2. I mean, when I saw the MLB rankings and Christian Javier was their predicted Cy Young, I was like, what in the world is happening? And then I kind of looked at his stats. I looked at the Fangraph predictions, and they have him being good too. Everyone seems to think he's going to be doing good, so I'm like, what's going on? You dive into his stats, he's amazing. Having a 168 expected batting average is like what you'd expect a reliever to have, but he's a starter. If this guy can even meet like 160 innings next year, I think he'll be the clear Cy Young getter. The strikeout percentage is crazy. Doesn't let up that many walks. He's pretty complete. The only problem is he hasn't really met this innings pitch threshold in his career yet.
That was kind of my restriction on him. I would have had him, but I really don't know how many innings he's going to throw. And I do worry. I know he's young, but I do worry about injuries. I can worry about injuries with every pitcher. But
Yeah,
I think that he's going to be fantastic. Stebbs and I talked about this when we talked about our Astros. We said that the Astros pitching rotation, he's the only one I don't have questions about their quality of pitching. The only question I have about him is how many innings is he going to throw? And a guy that I know is going to throw some innings, and the guy that's going to be very, very happy
Don't say it,
shift
don't
is
say it.
gone. And a guy that is going to have not the third worst defense in baseball behind him is Kevin Gossman
Oh, thank
of
God.
the Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh man, the way you said the innings pitched, I thought you were about to say Garrett Cole was your guy. No,
There's still one more spot, Tom. There's
He
still
looked at
one
me
more
funny.
spot.
He's gonna pick Garrett Cole.
I guess it's a good segue into my American League Cy Young winner. The guy how you guys somehow forget is an elite pitcher, one of the true aces in baseball, and Garrett Cole.
Yeah, I already talked
Garrett-
about him.
Garrett Cole denier.
Which is the stupidest thing. I mean, you are a Giants fan, so I do understand that.
Nope.
Garrett Cole is elite. I don't know how you guys managed to forget that. He's among the best pitchers in baseball in strikeouts. He's had a rougher season last year, and those happen. And he throws 200 innings pretty much all of the time. And all right, here's the thing. The number one stuff plus pitcher in baseball for starting pitchers, Jacob deGrom. Fair enough. You know, that guy's pretty good. Number two is Spencer Strider. Number three is Garrett Cole. He's got some of the best stuff in all of baseball. He's got 3 pitches that are well above average in his fastball, his slider, and his curveball. And he's fantastic. And the Yankees need him to be. The Yankees need him to be. And that contract has been worth it.
It has. I agree with that. They needed him to eat innings and be effective. He's effective. I don't know if voters are going to like the fact that he gets absolutely demolished every other start, but because when he has a bad start, he is horrible, but he does have the stuff. It's just sometimes his fastball is like a beach ball for some teams. It's really an on day or an off day for him. I like Garrett Cole.
I
Actually,
think
don't
he's
like
going to
Garrett
be
Cole.
on this year.
You think he's going to be on the whole season? Yes.
Yes.
I think I'm like personally biased against Garrett. Just because I'm not sure why I dislike. I don't know. I don't like. Says go ahead.
He just kind of looks funny.
No, it's not the no. Yeah.
No, but I mean, I don't disagree with it. He was number 6 on my list. Like Garrett Cole, for a already banged up starting rotation, he has to be good. They went from probably a top 10 starting rotation in the league to now Garrett Cole and Nestor Cortez.
I mean, that's not bad.
It's not a
No,
bad
no,
1-2
there's the other
punch.
ones.
And then there's the rest, right? Like you went from
Clark Schmidt.
Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Nestor Cortez, Luis Severino, and Frankie Montes to 2 of them, and Clark Schmidt. Like,
Quit cooking on my boy Clark.
You got to start to wonder, man, who is running the Yankees health thing because they get injured so easily.
Boone.
Dude, they all get injured. I'm serious. Like the Yankees have a serious injury problem in the last couple of years. They've just been dealing with so many injuries. Stanton going down, Judge going down, obviously before his MVP season.
Yeah.
Was a glass person. The whole team is just very fragile, but that doesn't have anything to do with Cy Young. However, I am a little bit worried about Garrett Cole's health, considering how everyone on the Yankees goes down with injuries at a certain point.
He's been the most consistent though.
He's been that guy though. Yeah, I gotta agree. But that's my number 7 spot. Stevs, who do you got?
Speaking of that guy, Shohei Ohtani is that guy. And he's gonna come out after performing at an incredible level during the World Baseball Classic. He's gonna come out, perform at an incredible level during the regular season, and then not make the postseason, but we'll get there later. He's going to win AL Cy Young. He was Brad's winner last year, and he's gonna come out and just I think he's going. I don't know if he's gonna focus more on the pitching side of the ball, but he is going to meet every threshold that Brad wants him to meet and past it. And I think he's going to.
My number 1 is not a guy that you guys have mentioned at all, which is weird to me. He was a guy that was probably top 2. He was, front runner the whole season last year until his injury. Brad knows what I'm talking about. Stez, you probably know what I'm talking
I
about.
knew who it was from the moment you said it.
Yeah, it's Shane McClanahan. I don't know how this didn't make your list. I at all. For even the
Innings.
honorable mention spot. I mean, what do you say, Brad?
Innings.
Yeah. I mean,
He's
166
a Ray.
innings. Stabs. He does get hit decently hard. No, he doesn't. He's a soft contact guy, actually. Never mind. I like this guy. I mean, he's one of the more complete pitchers in the game right now, and especially from the left-hand side. He's probably one of the best in the league in the whole game. There's not really a weak spot I can really target him at. I mean, he went down with a small injury, but if he didn't go down with that injury towards the end of the season, he would have been like a 180, 185 innings type of guy. Steves?
He's gonna get hurt.
No, Steves, what is that even?
That's
what-
the issue. I think
He's
he's
not
going
gonna
to
get
get hurt.
I don't know. I
Wait for
don't
it.
see a weak spot, and I mean, I don't think he's gonna get injured. I mean, going down with one small shoulder injury towards the end of the season that he came back 2 weeks after it happened is not that severe to the point where I would consider him a guy that's
How old is he?
plagued with injury. He's 25, Steves. He's young.
Okay.
He's got a
I'm
young
not-
body.
hey,
He's gonna be that guy.
Hey, I don't
Your
think he's gonna be that guy.
2023 AL
Tom.
Cy Young.
Matthew Stevens.
Shame.
All right. Wow, that was a lot of American League Cy Young.
That
And
was
it's
a
time for
lot.
National League Cy Young.
Oh my god, we're not even
Oh
done.
no. Wait.
I think here's the thing. I think we'll be a little bit more universal with our MVPs. So hopefully.
No.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Well, universality. My number 6 in National League Cy Young voting is Nick Lodolo of the Cincinnati Reds.
Jesus. No, I actually like that pick because I was actually reading an article the other day that batters that face Nick Lodolo say that he's one of the hardest pitchers they've ever faced, and I don't know why because he is not very effective. But Brad, he's got the stuff, right? Is it the stuff?
He's got the stuff, and it's Chris Sale's release point. Do you not forget what Chris Sale did for a decade? Like, I don't think it clicks fully this year, but I think he strikes out 200 batters in 170 innings. I think it's fairly effective, and I think it's the only positive on the Cincinnati Reds. So,
I mean, that's
Could've
probably a
done it,
fair
yeah.
point. I'm shocked you went with him over Hunter Green. But I feel like if you pick either of them, I feel like that's I'm not gonna say like a safe pick, but if you're gonna pick one, it's kind of like not even a long shot, like a mid shot, like what you would have to go to one of them. For me, I went with Spencer Strider. I feel like Tom is gonna have him higher on this list. But I'm worried about the injuries. That's my big thing for him, right? I think he's gonna come in and he's gonna perform very well when he does play. And I think you might hear about him later.
You might.
oh boy.
That might be a safe bet. Yeah, I mean, coming in at my number 6 spot is actually Joe Musgrove of the Padres. I don't know if you, Brad, are you a hater of Joe Musgrove, or you have him higher on your list?
He is a quality number 2.
I think he is better than a lot of people give him credit because he's on the Padres. He's, paired with Yu Darvish, who also could be in that number 6 conversation. But I really do like Joe Musgrove. He kind of showed this elite flash of talent in the postseason, and he also shows elite flashes of. He was pretty consistent last year, Stos.
Of the San Diego Padres, he has the best betting odds to win Cy Young.
It makes sense. Blake Snell will get hurt. Yu Darvish is older.
Snell is the longest shot, and Yu Darvish is right in the middle. So.
See, I was debating Snell, but it's just like I know he's gonna get hurt at some point, so I'm not putting him on my list.
He's a very streaky guy, but if he does reach that stride, he is very good. So I mean that would be a good pick. Brad, who you got?
At number 5, I have the back-to-back American League Cy Young winner, Justin Verlander. I think that he will still be very effective. I think he will be what he would have been last year if he wasn't on the Astros, if that makes sense. I think the quality of being with the Astros diminishes when you're not on the Astros. And I think that diminishment is what we see on the New York Mets. But I still think it's very, very good.
Yeah, I the reason I left him off this list is just because I don't think he's on the older side. I mean, I don't think he's going to be a sub-2 ERA type of guy. I mean, that's absolutely bizarre considering how many innings he pitched last year. He actually reached like 175 innings. But, age is going to reach him eventually. He's been getting better nearly every season, which is surprising. And if I keep doubting him, he's probably just going to keep playing until he's 70 and win like 7 more Cy Youngs. But I don't trust the age right now. He's going to prove me wrong again like he does every year. But I just don't have him on this list. I think he's a good pick, though. Steph, who you got at number 5?
Justin Verlander.
God.
Yeah.
I was debating between him for 5 or 4 for a little while, and Brad putting him at 5 kind of solidified him. That was the correct decision. Again, back-to-back kind of AL Cy Young. He's good. It's just a matter of he's old now. And is he gonna be the same on the Mets? Most likely. But injuries, how the Mets are going to perform. We've already seen one of their star pitchers go down after jumping up and down. Who says Justin Verlander jumps up and down and doesn't die as well? So,
Stabs.
what?
That's what you said.
Oh,
yeah. Tom?
What?
Where
my
are you
number
at?
5? Oh, this is great. I have Max Fried.
Is
He's-
that like Siri when you hit there the Google Translate when you
Sorry, I'm lagging. I'm lagging. Okay.
Fried.
Fried. I'm like, I don't think he's going to be the best pitcher in Atlanta next year. But he'll be pretty good. He will be pretty good. I think he's definitely the best left-handed pitcher in the National League. And okay, Brad looking at me like Clayton Kershaw is going to pitch 120 innings next year.
No, after 120 innings.
Okay, he'll make it there.
140.
Oh, okay. That's a target. Okay. Max Fried is a safe pick here. He's going to, reach the innings. He's going to be effective in those innings. And I think, he's not a free agent this year, but the next season. So he's building that resume for when he is a free agent, because I do not think the Braves are going to retain him. He's definitely got something to play for, and I think he's going to build upon his last season.
That is definitely an interesting take. I don't hate it, but I don't love it because he's not on my list. At number 4, I went with Zach Gallen. He's a Brad guy. I mean, he's only gotten better. Brad had him breaking out 2 seasons ago. He didn't quite do that, and then he broke out last season. I think he's going to continue that. He's going to keep his trend upwards, and I could see him definitely winning a Cy Young within the next 2 seasons. I just don't think it's going to be this season. I have other guys ahead of him that I definitely think are going to have much better seasons. Especially my number 1. I'm really excited to get to him.
I love Zach Gallen. I do not have him on my list this year.
He's not on my list either.
I think he takes a small step backwards, but he's still very, very good. A step in the right direction is someone that I think just gets overwritten because of a certain someone we'll mention later, his teammate. At number 4, I have Brandon Woodruff of the Milwaukee Brewers. He is quality, he is beauty, he is grace, he's small town Mr. United States. Brandon Woodruff is just a quality pitcher who has signs of being an ace multiple times. It got kind of stomped a little bit by injury last season. in the beginning of the season, you know, he kind of looked like horrible. And then down the stretch in month of July, a 2.10 ERA, the month of August, a 2.70, and the month of September, a 2.33. That's 3 Cy Young caliber months after just a really bad start. But that's besides the point.
I I was reading up on him yesterday because I was like, why is Brandon Woodruff considered a top 10 pitcher in the league? And I was like, what's the case here? Apparently he went into the season with like some sort of condition in his hand or something, or some sort of condition, and immediately he didn't immediately tell them. It's like mid-season, like, oh, by the way, something's going on with my hand or something was wrong. And then they fixed it, and then he became the Cy Young guy. So maybe, given a full season of that, he'll be in that conversation. I just don't know what a full season from him looks like because of obviously that injury last year.
He's not on my list, but I definitely like the pick. I feel like all these guys are on a similar plane. And I think he's going. I don't know. I think he's like Brad talked about. He's kind of like Corbin Burns light version. Like he's up there like on his plane. We're just kind of just not as good, not at Corbin Burns level yet. But again, Tom said it. Maybe a full season of him without that injury will benefit him, and maybe he'll finish in that top 10 race, top 5 race even.
Yeah. Tom, where's your number 4?
I'm a little conflicted on my number 4, but I went with Aaron Nola. I feel like I'm even lowballing him on this because I really am high on Aaron Nola. I feel like he'll build upon his last season as well. But then again, I look back at his previous seasons, like a couple of years back, and he was going, back and forth between this elite level and this like maybe mid level. But what we saw last season from Aaron Nola was greatness, and I really do think that he has the potential to win a Cy Young this season. There's really nothing that he does bad anymore. There used to be concerns of getting shelled, but not anymore. He really has become the guy. He stepped forward, and he's kind of taken the ace spot from Zach Wheeler, who kind of took over in 2021 or oh no.
That
Here
is a
comes
perfect
Brad.
segue into my number 3. I have Zach Wheeler. I like this guy. He pitches good. He got stalled by injury last year. At the beginning of the season, he was only able to go to 153 innings last year. I think if he had been getting a full season, he would have just been able to repeat his 2021. I don't see why not. I think his 2021, he almost won the Cy Young Award. Like Burns didn't win unanimously. Wheeler was very, very close to winning it. He was still very, very effective last year. He just didn't pitch as many innings as he had. Still a 2.82 ERA, and that's after having a 5.79 ERA in the month of April. Down the stretch, we'll go down the stretch again because we like that. 165 in May, 243 in June, 248 in July, 090 in September.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty good. It seems like Brad. It seems like you like the guys that are kind of hidden behind the
I like
bigger guy.
workhorses. I like workhorses.
Yeah, I mean you probably like yeah. That's why you picked Garrett Cole. Okay, no, but I like how you picked the guy that's kind of behind Corbin Burns is Brandon Woodruff pretty much, and then behind Aaron Nola, well, not for long probably, is Zach Wheeler. But they're both at this more like they're kind of covered. They're kind of like you got to flip the rock over to find them. Steps, you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. For me though, at number 3, is the ace of the Marlins organization. He lasts a very long time.
I forgot about Sandy. Holy shit.
Sandy Alcantara, he lasts quite a while, right? He formed the current reigning NL Cy Young. He's gonna go out and last about as long as he did last season. Hopefully to at least the top 3 finish this upcoming season. He apparently is not a very memorable player to all of us, but Tom, where were you at with your number 3?
My number 3 is Spencer Strider. If this guy pitched 200 innings last year, he would have thrown the most strikeouts by a National League pitcher since Randy Johnson in 2002. That's 305 strikeouts, by the way. Voters like the strikeout numbers. So even if he could regresses slightly on the other numbers, the strikeouts are just they're just I don't know. I'm sold on this guy. I get your point on his injuries, but he is young. He is young. He can build upon this.
Wasn't it oblique injury? What was the injury?
Yeah.
Brad is
Isn't it
concerned
oblique?
about the oblique. And I think that's a little bit concerning to me. But I like him. I really think If you get a full season from Spencer Strider, I see no reason why he doesn't win it. That the only concern lies in the innings pitch for me. Brad, where are you
Uh,
at?
Brad.
Well, number two, I just had to call an absolute audible. I did have Max Fried, but I'll talk about how he regresses a little bit just because he's a pitch to contact guy. But you know, he's also a pitch to contact guy who lasts really long is Sandy Alcantara at number two. I don't know how I just left him out. I think maybe because like when I was going through my list, I had my candidates, and I like if I had like a group of them that I needed to delete, I might have accidentally highlighted him and just sent him out the door. I have him at number two. And I probably still, if I remade the list, I think I still would probably have him at number two. I think he does take a little bit of a step backwards, but I think he'll lead baseball in innings. Honestly, Brad's hot take of not really hot. He's going to go high more innings than he did last year.
How many did he go last year?
228.
Dang.
I
I
think
don't
he
know.
was,
That workload's got to catch up to him eventually.
but it's such a simple motion. It's
It's such a
not
simple
violent.
motion. That's exactly the thing about him. It's so effective. You have guys with extremely violent motions. I mean, Chris Sale, who was a workhorse in his time, but
Mhm.
you know, guys have really violent motions now, and he's just such a simple motion. And it appears that, you know, it's just a flick of the wrist with him. It's just so so effortless. I don't know. Steps?
Yeah, okay. For me at number two, I have Corbin Burns. I really like Corbin Burns. I like what he brings to the table. Again, he's that guy, right? He might not have the best situation right now in Milwaukee. Seems like they don't really want him there, and that he's the problem in their eyes, which is not true at all. But I don't know. I think he's gonna go out and prove a lot of people that he is the best, one of the best pitchers of baseball. Maybe not the best in the NL quite yet, in my opinion, this season. But he's gonna go out and he's gonna perform very, very well and kind of force the Brewers' hand into deciding what they want to do with him.
I think it's a good pick. I had him at my number two as well. Corbin Burns is the second best pitcher in baseball. I don't think second best pitcher in baseball. I think he's the second in the Cy Young race. I think we're talking about talent. It's a different story. But talking about the 2023 Cy Young race, a lot of things can happen. I think he will reach 200 innings again. I think he'll be pretty effective. I think his next season will look a lot like this season did. So it's going to be a high finish, pretty effective innings, but ultimately falling to my number one spot, which we'll talk about in a minute. Brad, where you at?
Why don't you transition to number one?
My number one pick is Sandy. Yeah, that's right. I have Sandy as my number one. I have him repeating as the Cy Young, and that is not a hot take for me, baby. I'm doubling down on that. Sandy is the NL Cy Young back-to-back years. He will build upon this season. I don't know if I agree with Brad and his take about more innings, but I think he'll meet the innings that he pitched last year. Maybe that's like 220 something. And I think he will pitch better in those 220 innings. He's looked amazing. And Brad with a good illustration of Sandy Alcantara on his screen for those viewers that are just listening. Excellent drawing, Brad. He has looked fantastic in spring training and in the World Baseball Classic. He's unhittable. He will pitch the innings needed. I love this guy. He's going to go back to back. That is my take.
See, I worry about him with like shift stuff, in all honesty, and the Marlins defense in the infield.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
infield is quite rough to say the least. Yeah, I again, he was number three, so I was a little lower on him. For me, the guy that I have is Aaron Nola. He has everything in the world to prove this season coming up on a contract year. He is going to prove to the Philadelphia Phillies that they have to pay him. Or if you don't, he's gonna go somewhere else and get a absolute bag. He's gonna go out, he's gonna win the Cy Young, and he's gonna force the Phillies' hands. I just talked about it with Corbin Burns. It's either you pay Aaron Nola or he walks and goes to somewhere that I would like to see him in Baltimore or somewhere else even. But I think he's going to again, the Phillies are in a prime position to prove a lot of people wrong and win a lot of ball games they should not win. And a lot of that is going to stem from Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler.
The best pitcher in baseball will also
God.
be the National League Cy Young winner, and that is Corbin Burns. You think of pitchers who could who had decades of dominance, right? You had Kershaw, you had Scherzer and Verlander the past 10 years. Verlander didn't even succeed the entire decade. He had a rough 5-year stretch in Detroit. Corbin Burns seems like a pitcher that could have a decade of dominance. And along a decade of dominance, you need your signing awards. And you don't accidentally generate 3 pitches with a 46% whiff rate or higher. That's not an accident. You don't accidentally have a fire lit under your butt because your team wants to trade.
Sure.
Let this guy go out and compete with his heart on the line because he's going to get traded next offseason. If he's not traded this season, he's going to get traded in the offseason. No matter what the Brewers do, they can win the World Series and he'll still get traded. And I think that motivates someone like Corbin Burns to win the National League Cy Young.
Wait, all three of our winners broke the 200 innings threshold, right? Did Aaron
Yep.
Nola reach it too?
Yeah.
So that's a good sign there. We all pick guys that don't have the injury concern.
That
Seems like
last long?
that's what I'm saying. Still a big point.
All right. It's finally MVP time.
You wanna know how many players I wrote down for AL MVP?
A lot.
9.
Oh.
9.
I think we're going 6 and up again.
That's fine, that's
Okay.
fine.
Do me last.
I'll do you first, Dev. Sorry.
No.
At number
Yeah.
6, I have Mike Trout because he is not going to play 140 games. I don't trust his health. I think
yeah.
I had him at second. And then I was like, you know what? What are the odds Mike Trout is healthy for the entire season? Because it's slim. I don't think that he's going to be healthy. I think he'll be elite when he's on the field again. I think that he's a big part of the reason why the Angels don't make the playoffs this year. Because maybe they're pushing for it. Maybe they're competing. They don't trade Ohtani at the deadline, and then Trout gets hurt. That's a real wrench in the operation.
Yeah. Shockingly, my number 6 is Mike Trout.
Wow.
Yo! And I mean, for the same reasons that Brad had him at number 6, there's a lot of injury concern. And we're gonna in probably about 15 to 20 seconds, we're gonna talk about another guy with injury concern when it gets back to me. But Stevs, go ahead and give me your number 6.
I don't have a number 6 because
Oh!
I kept it at 5. So I need about 20 more seconds.
You're fine. You don't need to have 6 if you don't want.
Okay, that's
Just bring us into
fine.
number 5, Steve.
Number
At number
5,
6, Steves has Gilberto Celestino. Of the
no, at number
Minnesota
6, I have Brandon Belt of the Toronto Blue Jays.
No.
Yep. No, at number 5,
Dude, Tom
I
thought you were serious for a second.
It's like, no, please.
not again. At number 5, I have Mike Trout. I do see the injury concerns. But also he just went to the World Baseball Classic and felt that energy. I think that energy is really going to propel him, at least for a large majority of the first half of the season. And if they are in the playoff hunt, it's going to propel him even farther into the postseason. Probably not, but I do see the injury concerns, so I do have him a little lower.
We are entering the hot takes. At number 5, I have Byron Buxton. I have him having his first 140 game season ever. And I really think that, I mean, if you average out his stats, he's a guy that's going to hit 50 doubles and like 40 home runs. It's insane. He is the best player in baseball when he's healthy and on the field. Well, if you take his 162 game average, that is, Brad, don't look up like that, please. He has the potential to be so good. He just has to be healthy, and I think this is the season. My reason for that, I don't know. This maybe I mean, there is no reason. There's a lot of things that you can predict by data analytics or whatever. You look at the statistics. You can't tell if Byron Buxton's going to be healthy for a whole season. I mean, you can judge by the fact he hasn't played a whole bunch of games, but there's eventually going to be a season, there might be at least, where he breaks out in the sense that he actually plays 3/4 of a season. Stevs, what do you think?
So I figured out my 6. And it's Aaron Judge, which might be a hot take. I don't know. I'll judge that based on how we get deep later. But I don't think I don't think that was not okay. I don't think I mean, obviously he's going to regress from last year, and I don't know how much he's going to propel the Yankees, right? The Yankees are probably not going to be the greatest team because their pitching staff's already banged up and their offense is not the greatest. So I think I just don't think everything's going to fit together kind of like it was last year, and I don't think he's going to perform at the same level. Okay. So
Did I say my
Tom,
five?
no, I think Tom
I was
said
at number.
I said Trout, Tom said Buxton.
I said Julio
Okay.
Rodriguez.
Okay.
Julio Rodriguez is my number 5. I see him honestly 30-30. That is where I was at for Julio Rodriguez. I think we are going to see a more offensive season, but not a juice ball season. I think we're going to see a higher batting average type season. I think we're going to see more stolen bases. And I think one of the forefront players in this category is Julio Rodriguez.
It's definitely fair.
Yeah.
That's a good segue into my number 4, which isn't Julio Rodriguez, but is Adley Rushman. This is my hot take.
It's not a hot take.
I feel like that's a hot take. Him being in the
not.
top
He's a catcher.
5 of MVP voting when I don't have the Orioles making the playoffs. I feel like that's kind of a hot take. I don't know. That might just, I guess I'm wrong. But I think Adley Rushman is going to put everything together this year and really show that the Orioles can be a competitive organization and make them a competitive organization that people want to come to in the next offseason.
I like it. I was actually thinking about him myself, but I was like, there's just certain players I can't put him above.
And that's fair.
Tom?
Brad, you
4?
want to go in? Oh, my number 4.
Really?
I'm gonna go.
Okay.
I think this guy's gonna have a bounce back and perform at the level that he did 2 years ago, and I think that's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I think he's going to play like he did in 2021. And I mean, there's a lot of adjustments that need to be made. Actually, there's not. I mean, pitchers just adjusted to him, and now he's going to have to kind of adjust to pitchers. He needs to learn how to hit high fastballs. We talked about that before, I believe. And if he makes that adjustment, he gets the bat speed back up. He's going to be a guy that can, launch balls into the air, and he doesn't have to worry about, hitting it hard because nearly every ball that comes off his bat is hitting hard. So I mean, it's just about, making contact with those high fastballs, and he's going to make that adjustment. I think he finishes top 5.
See, I did not have him on my list this year. I think he will be somewhere in between his 2021 and 2022 form. We talked about this on our whole Blue Jays prediction. I think he'll find an area between the two. I don't know how he won a gold glove last year, in all honesty. Obviously, like sometimes you can grasp things with defensive metrics, but you won a gold glove with -4 outs above average. Sorry, that's a sidebar, but like
Yeah.
my number 4 is Yordan Alvarez. I think he might be the best hitter in the American League this year, but you're so far restricted of what you can do. Steves forgot Yordan Alvarez. You're so far restricted on your capabilities as a designated hitter. And I think that's just what holds him down to 4.
That's what I was saying. I didn't have on my list actually. Well, he was, you know what he was? He was number 9.
Oh,
He was on the list. He just didn't make the top 6. Stebbs, you want to start us off with the number 3?
Not particularly.
I want to hear
why?
it,
Why is
Stebbs.
that?
Because I forgot Yordan Alvarez was a player, even though we literally just talked about him.
All right, Steves, he's not on the list.
Nah, we're gonna go. I'm gonna stick with my guns. Okay, Wander Franco is gonna be number 3 in AL MVP. I think he's going to be healthy the entirety of the season and be a huge piece in the Tampa Bay Rays making the playoffs. And I think he's going to. I mean, when he is healthy, he is a top 10 shortstop in baseball. He's just not healthy, and he's still a top 10 shortstop in baseball. So, what does that lead to? An MVP.
I'm not judging you. I actually like that pick. I
Yeah, I
actually like
like
that
it.
pick a lot.
I just think
Yeah.
that you can't call him an injured. He had one injury season in his 21.
Yeah, he'll be
I
all
mean,
right. He'll be just fine.
he's been in 2
Yeah.
seasons. That's
Yeah.
you understand my point.
No, I
Yeah, I
like
feel
the
you,
I
Steve.
like
I
the
feel-
take. I think he's going to break out as well. I just think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a repeat of his 2021, just over a full campaign, if not a little bit
Yeah.
better.
And I think the voters like this firepower, hitting for power. And I mean, Wander Franco is going to be great, but he's just not going to, bring in
I
those
think
voters.
he's gonna bring the flair of like the defensive flair along with his bat. Not as much pop, but he's gonna be a more well-rounded type of flashy player.
I like that. My number 3, I have Shohei Ohtani. And to have Shohei this low, just feels wrong.
Turn some heads.
Yeah. I mean, you know why he's up here. You just don't know why he's down at 3. I wanted to provide my number 1 and 2 picks with, a lot of hot takes. And I really do expect my number 1 and 2 guys to be good. And I expect Shohei. I'm not expecting him, but there's a decent chance that he goes down with an injury similarly like he did in 2021 or 2020. Was it when did he come up?
2018.
2019. Yeah. So that is my reasoning.
Do not speak that into the universe.
I'm not speaking.
Please
it in there.
don't. If he gets hurt, I'm gonna.
No, I
don't know what I'm
I
gonna
know
do.
Shohei is the MVP. He's the best player in baseball, and if he plays the whole season, he's gonna win the MVP. That's just how it is. But I think there's gonna be some players that have breakouts, and I don't want to pick him for that reason.
At number 3, I had the reigning American League MVP winner, and Aaron Judge. I think that you can be injured for a couple years and get labeled an injury plagued player, or you can genuinely just have a couple injuries. I think that's what happened. I think he's healthier now, and that's better for baseball. He's going to get more days at DH. He's flat out said that he's not going to dive in the outfield unless it's the postseason. That's pretty good for your long-term health, in all honesty. And even a fallback from last season, even a 15% regression is still elite. Like, the dude broke the home run record last year. 15% regression is 46 home runs. That's 25%, excuse me. But like, the dude's ridiculous. I think he's legit. At first I know we were questioning like the size he's able to do, and he just went out and had one of the best seasons of all time. Even a step back is still elite.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Again, I had him after some digging. Had him at number 6. Tom, where was he in your 9 players? There's the
8.
dead
It
air.
was 8.
There
It
you
was
go.
8. Yeah. Sorry. All right, go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna kick it off to number 2. This is where I had Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Like I said, I kind of half mentioned earlier, I think the Blue Jays are now with the Yankees sucking. I think the Blue Jays are going to take that opportunity, and I think Vladdy Jr. will make the adjustments necessary to hit the pitching that he couldn't hit last season. And I think he even might take a step up defensively. He doesn't really need to as a first baseman, but I think having a defensive first baseman that you can trust makes your infielders better. And I think if he can do that and lead the team, especially into the postseason, I think that that's something that has to be spoken into existence.
I think you're
Brad?
forgetting about someone on your list, Stones.
Probably.
And I think Tom has this guy at least in his top 2, if not winning the whole thing. It's Jose Ramirez.
No, actually, he should be in that list. But there's another guy that I hot take.
Oh, I know who one
I
of
would
your
say.
2 is. I just figured it out right now. But at number 2, I have Jose Ramirez of the Cleveland Guardians. Did we forget how good this guy is? Like, did
No,
y'all
but I
just...
feel like he's just gonna go underrated because he's on the Guardians.
It doesn't matter. The dude's
It
been in
does.
top 5 MVP the past 5 years, I believe. Do I have that number wrong? Like Jose Ramirez. Let's see. Baseball Reference. Let's see. MVP 3, MVP 3, did not place. MVP 2, MVP 6, MVP 4. We just forget how good this guy is. And he played the second half of last season with a broken thumb that required surgery. And he was still 48% above the average. He's back with 2 thumbs.
I'm calling an audible. Yeah, I'm calling an audible. Jose Ramirez at 2. I like that pick. I forgot about that because I was reading up on him too, that he did deal with that thumb injury. He's also a guy that's going to benefit from the shift ban along with the bigger bases. I think he's a guy that might be a 30-30 guy, if not maybe even a 40-40 guy. Steps, where are you lying on this?
Who was that to?
For me,
Yeah.
I will not name him.
It was
I am not saying.
We're, like, all over.
I wanted to do a hot take, but I don't think it's a good take.
you have to
I mean,
say it now.
I
You
feel
have
like I
for
feel
the-
like Vladdy Jr. is my hot take.
No,
Being
my
at
hot take's my number one spot, but
well,
number
I
two
know
is
who
like
your
even
number
hotter.
one is. I think I know who it is. But I'd like to hear who this number two was.
we need to know. Tom. You can't.
It was freaking Kyle Tucker, man. I really think he's a guy that might, despite looking like a post office guy, he might be a 40-40 guy. He has extreme speed. Well, not extreme speed. He's smart on the bases. Don't laugh at me.
I'm not laughing at the pick. I'm laughing at the post office.
I like this guy, and I think he's got the power threat, he's got a speed threat, he's got the glove. He could be a guy that steals 30 bases, hits 30 home runs, wins a gold glove. He's going to be stacking up WAR next year. He is going to be a WAR accumulator because he performs on all sides of the ball. I like Kyle Tucker. Sorry.
I don't.
Oh my God.
I don't hate the pick, Tom. It's just that you were so upset that you forgot about J Ram, and you just were like, I can't pick Kyle Tucker
I
anymore.
can't do it, Kyle.
So who's
I'm
number
gonna-
one?
Please. No, we gotta know. Let's go.
Number one, the AL MVP, the best player in the American League. That's better than some very good players. Is Corey Seager of the
Okay.
Texas Rangers. I think this guy will go absolutely bonkers without the shift on him. I mean, he's been showing it in spring training. He's been balling out there. I think he's going to be a guy that might even crack 1,000 OPS. He's not a speed threat. Don't worry about that. His glove is about league average now. It's been improving. And he's been a guy every year under the hood is just waiting to break out, in this season with the one change that was stopping him, which is the shift, is now gone. What is stopping him from having a monster year? There's nothing stopping him. I think he's going to be one of the best hitters in all of baseball next year.
Consistency.
He's
He was
consistently
not
good under
consistent
the
last
radar.
year.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's more. Yeah,
So I'm gonna go to the other team that we kind of lumped with them, which was the Angels, and I'm gonna go with Shohei Ohtani. I think he is first person that's ever won Cy Young and MVP in the same year.
No.
Wait, say
No,
what? He didn't win Cy Young.
Clayton Kershaw, Justin Verlander, Vita Blue.
I am Stevs. I meant like, so what I was trying to say is like for because he's a two-way player, like MVP. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. That was a bad. Okay. I'm trying to say like
I know what
the
you're going
batting
for.
side,
Like,
the batting
yeah.
side and the pitching side combined, two players, one player, MVP and Cy Young. There we go. I mean, what more do you have to say about him? Like, he's an electric player. He's just never going to play in the postseason long as he's in an Angels uniform. But his last year in an Angels uniform, he's going to win both.
I'm sticking to my narrative that the Los Angeles Angels are in contention at the playoff deadline in their opinion. They failed to trade Mike Trout. Mike Trout gets injured. But you know who stays on that team? Shohei Ohtani. And he wins the award because it takes a historic season to beat him. I don't think anyone has a historic season quite like Judge did.
What if Kyle Tucker pitches though? What if Kyle Tucker becomes like the best pitcher in the American? I'm sorry. I won't back up my takes anymore. That's all I have to say. But I think we're going to more of a safer pick. Hopefully, the NL MVP conversation. I feel like this is among the easier ones to go over. Brad, would you agree on this one or no?
I hope so.
Okay. Do you have six? I only have five for this
I
one.
have
You want to just do
six.
five?
I have
Okay.
six. I'll say my six.
I can find.
I don't say. No,
Okay.
you
I
don't have
want to
I'll just-
disagree with Tom. This is
What?
not going to end well.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
All right, so Brad, start with your six.
At number 6, I have Fernando Tatis Jr.
I love that pick. That's mine too now.
You remember how like he was sucking in spring training?
Now he's good. I know.
He's godly in spring training. The guy saw Major League pitching again, and now he's fantastic. It's like Fernando Tatis is a good baseball player or something. I hate him, but
I was like, just when Brad was about to admit that he likes Fernando Tatis, it was over. As soon as I thought that.
yeah, I think he'll be good. He's not. I think he'll be a MVP 2, MVP 3 type player. He's just gonna. There's already a maximum of like 144 games he could play. It's Fernando Tatis. He's gonna get hurt. Like, he's still ridiculously good. 30-30 season.
I mean,
That's
so
fair take.
Oh God, Steves had him like at number 1. No, I think Fernando Tatis has some extreme upside. And Brad, as long as you take away his bike privileges, I don't think he's got much of a. I don't think he's got much of an injury problem. I don't think he's like an injury prone guy.
No, I got him
Um,
one of those scooters that you see in the old people's homes, like the fail safes.
no one that like beeps really loud when you back up.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
he's
he'll
got to
be
use
sick.
like the handicap ramp, no stairs allowed. Um, his locker is padded. The shower can only
Yeah,
have like lukewarm water
yeah, because he could burn himself by accident.
or freeze himself.
Thanks,
Or
Tom.
yep, you never know. I think that's a
Um,
great pick.
for me, 6 was either Fernando Tatis Jr. or Mookie Betts. Um, would you like me to disagree with you and go with Mookie Betts, Brad?
I would like for you to go with your heart.
I'm gonna go with Fernando Tatis Jr. then. I want to fit in. I mean, they kind of talked about him, but I will talk about Mookie Betts a little bit. I mean, the big thing for me is going to be injuries. I don't know, like, how much injuries are going to play into this season for him. And I mean, he is incredible when he is on the field. It's just a matter of him being on the field. He's got to be a really, really big kind of captain for this team that kind of lost a lot of their star power. Well, a lot of their star power. They lost like 5 guys, but
I like 5 guys.
Speaking of 5 guys, my number 5 spot is Frederick Friedman of the Los Angeles Dodgers. And Brad, are you on the same page as
We're
me?
on the same page.
Oh my God, Stems! Freddie, he's going to hit for contact. He's probably one of the best pure hitters in the National League, if not all of baseball. Number 1 first baseman in all of baseball as well, over the former MVP, Paul Goldschmidt. There's not much to dislike about him. And going into an older season, that's probably the only concern I can have about him. He's one of the best hitters in the game.
I'm at 5 with him. Stev's at 5 with him. I do not
yeah.
think he will be the best first baseman in baseball this year. At number 4, I have Matt Olson of the Atlanta
See.
Braves, a victim of the shift. It is gone. He can hit the ball as hard as anyone when he hits the ball. You know, when the Braves get people and they like squeeze them for 1% of their contract to go to the Atlanta Braves Foundation, they're like really squeezing him. And I think he's their guy, one of their guys. I think the fact that he hits the ball hard 51% of the time, that's a pretty good thing to do. He has a very good walk tool. It's a high expected WOBA constantly. He had a bad season for himself last year. A bad season was a 347 expected WOBA.
That's pretty good bad season. My number 4 is Manny Machado of the Padres. I don't know what there is to dislike about him. And there's 2
He's a
third basemen that
Padre.
probably have to. Yeah, there's probably I really think that there's not much to take away from him at this point. Other than the fact that he's going to be in a even more stacked lineup, considering that they got Tatis and Bogarts back now. That's going to take away from his stardom as a Padre. I mean, he was the Padre last season, being the guy that stepped up. But I mean, what's to say he doesn't replicate this season? I like him for my number 4.
That is an interesting number 4 take, but I'm a little closer to Brad, except in the outfield with Ronald Acuna Jr. Again, he's got to put it all together. This year with he needs to be 100% healthy. That's what I'm trying to get at. And I think he will be 100% healthy. He played decently well in the World Baseball Classic. It wasn't anything crazy. Wasn't a showstopper like we kind of wanted him to be. But I think now that when he comes back in this upcoming season with the Braves, I think he's going to show out and he's going to show that he is a top 5 outfielder in baseball.
That's a pretty nifty segue into my number 3.
What?
It's Ronald Acuna Jr. I'm high on the Braves this year, as you guys might not have until I don't know if you guys have updated your standings since Edwin Diaz got hurt. I have the Braves winning the National League East. And to topple a team like the Mets, you need to have MVP caliber players. I think Austin Riley's going to take a small step back. He's still very, very good. I think he'll take a small step back. And I think Ronald Acuna Jr. will take a step back to where he belongs. And 4 and 3 for Olson Acuna is a pretty good recipe for beating the New York Mets, if you ask me, especially for me not having Fried nor Strider in my Cy Young top 6. So
This is a good segue into mine. Um, because I have what do you- I have I have a I have a Met. I have a Met on my list, and it's Pete Alonso. I think he's going to have the best season of his career. He has become such a better contact hitter since his first season, while still maintaining his power. I think he puts it together, and has a good contact and power season. He's going to hit 50 home runs, hit like 290, and that's going to be enough to put him in that top 3 conversation for MVP. I see no reason why he doesn't, because he's been getting better every single season of his career.
He was MLB The Show's pick for MVP. So
When they ran
not
the
a terrible
simulation.
pick when they ran a simulation. So you can think of that as either a good thing or a bad thing. That's a pretty decent segue into my guy, who's a Philly and the best shortstop in baseball, in Trey Turner. He had a World Baseball Classic to remember, and I think it's going to continue into the regular season. It already continued into the spring training. And I think it's continue into the regular season. He needs to be the face of at least the offense and defense of the Philadelphia Phillies, at least until Bryce Harper gets back. And I think he will be.
I like that pick. I mean, it's hard for Trey Turner to, you know, bring in crazy votes just because he doesn't hit for power, doesn't have a crazy glove, but the speed is definitely going to help him out there.
I mean, he's does it's not like I'm not gonna say he hits for power because he doesn't, but like he can hit he hits home runs.
Not last year, he did. It was kind of disappointing last year as a
That's
Dodger.
fair.
Um, I have Trey Turner at number 2 because speed kills, and the gaps are going to play at Citizens Bank Park. Doubles become triples. Trey Turner can feast on shorter porches, and I feel like there's something to be said that I feel like he wasn't fully in Los Angeles.
Oh no, not at all. He did not like being on the West Coast. He's an East Coast guy, and no matter how much he wants to deny it, he's an East Coast guy. He plays better when he's on the East Coast.
And he's been in the playoffs almost his whole career. And he needs to beat that guy that helps the Phillies get there right now. Because Harper's gone for 3 months. Real Muto's solid, but he can't carry a team. Hoskins is gone. Castellanos, we don't know what he is. Kyle Schwarber will be there. He'll hit a home run. But you need Trey Turner to be Trey Turner if you want to make the postseason.
I definitely agree with you on that. I'm gonna go to his former Nats teammate and Juan Soto. He is my number 2 spot. I think he with the shift ban and everything, I think everything's gonna click at the right time, and he's gonna have a monster season. Um, and I definitely think that he's going to be like, I'm not gonna say the face of the Padres because I have a guy in front of him, but I think he's going to be one of the most important pieces on the San Diego Padres. It's going to be incredible to watch him play this season.
My number 2 is I don't know how he didn't make your list. Maybe Brad has him, but Nolan Arenado of the Cardinals. I mean, compared to, the other batters in the MLB, because I mean, obviously OPS plus and like, the plus stats weigh it compared to the rest of the league. This was his best hitting season, coming out of Coors, um, kind of proving everyone wrong. He was one of the best hitters, weighted on that scale in baseball last year, while also being one of the best gloves in baseball, if not the best glove at their respective position. He's been good for a while. I mean, I know he gets some bias because his name's Nolan Arenado, but he's still very good in the field. We all know he's electric, and he's providing such value to the Cardinals right now. And I mean, this is probably the fleece of the century when it comes to that trade. That's besides the point. That's just another bash on the Rockies. Sorry, I had to
Cat on the
stick.
keyboard.
It's the
Yeah,
Rockies.
it's the cat
Like,
on the keyboard. Yep. Only real ones get that reference. No, but Nolan Arenado gonna go out there, hit 30 home runs again, probably have a 950 OPS season while also finishing second in MVP race, while also probably winning a Gold Glove again. So he's a very complete player. I think he's a safe bet for my number 2.
He's not the best defensive third baseman in baseball.
Oh, he's talking about okay.
Yeah, number one. No. At number 1, I have Jose Soto Pacheco, the second best hitter in baseball, second best left-handed hitter in baseball. Someone who got unlucky last year and was still fantastic. Juan Soto is primed for a breakout. He's seen the ball in San Diego finally. And Tom, what else you got on him?
I got the fact that he's my number 1 as well. I believe he's hitting like 700 in spring training. Let me pull that up for y'all real quick. He is batting 571 right now with a, and I mean, that's not a big sample size, but it's just more proof if he didn't need it already, that he is thriving without the shift. And I mean, he did well in the World Baseball Classic, providing some electricity for the Dominican Republic. Fortunately, it was not enough for them to even make it out of pool play. I'm sorry. But Juan Soto is I think he's going to, by the end of the season, cement himself as the best hitter in baseball.
I definitely like that. I went with his teammate though, in Manny Machado. He was second last year, right? He just missed out. He was second in MVP last year.
Yeah.
Um, and I think he just got that big extension. I think he's gonna come out and he's gonna perform incredibly well. Like the Padres have 3 guys that could possibly win Cy Young this year, or not Cy Young, MVP. Sorry, that could possibly win MVP this season. So, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong for any of those 3 if you pick any of those 3.
We've made it through awards.